If you want a surefire way to navigate around other people's emotional and manipulative behaviours being projected onto you, one thing I would strongly suggest is stop calling people narcissists. Now you can see this all over online today. The narcissist this, the narcissist that. 10 top tips to stop the narcissist. But the two main areas that I focus on in my own training and therapy is 1, trauma recovery from projections of traumas that have been unresolved. Project onto today, creating a distortion of our today's reality. So we're getting not only today, but we're also getting our past traumas projected onto that, causing an anxiety feedback loop. Now that is a huge area. I've made a full training video over 1 hour in length explaining all of that through so you can understand how all of that puts the world together. But most importantly, the emotional vulnerabilities that come out of our trauma projections, which is now the second area that I go into with my own training, and that is how to communicate and navigate around emotionally manipulative behavior. And the one thing that I keep finding is when people say the narcissist this, the narcissist that, it is actually tangling people up in knots and not giving specific areas to work through. Now, in my own training, I cover 6 emotionally manipulative behaviors, and each one of those relies on a specific emotional vulnerability in their target. One of them relies on guilt, the other requires helplessness, the other one is abandonment, and then the other one is shame. The other one is feeling like we don't fit in, so feeling the odd one out. And the last one is about a terror of loss, which can affect obviously millions of people. But each one of those are very, very specific. So if a person hasn't got a guilt complex, the oppressed victim emotional manipulative behavior won't work on them. But maybe they have an abandonment issue. So then the I'm too busy will be used. So the challenge is when people will say the narcissist this and the narcissist that, they're not being specific with the emotional manipulation that the other person is using. Now, a wonderful way to describe this is a friend of mine who's very advanced in martial arts. He's done lots of different styles of martial arts, but he's also a 5th dan in jiu-jitsu. And he described it like this. If you imagine emotionally manipulative behavior is the emotional equivalent of physical violence. So if you imagine this scenario, somebody approached my friend and went up to them and said, "Can you please help me defend myself? Somebody keeps attacking me." My friend will immediately ask, well, how are they attacking you? Because what he'd be doing is looking for specific ways to defend themselves against that particular attack. Now, because each different type of martial art has its own specific style. For example, boxing, you're actually stood up and it's head and body shots. Or maybe jiu-jitsu, you might go straight to the floor. Obviously, a lot of martial arts have a lot of crossover as well. But what you can do in, say, taekwondo may not be in judo. And what may be used in aikido wouldn't necessarily be used in Thai boxing. So my friend would immediately ask, how is this person attacking you? Are they using headshots? Is it punching? Is it kicking? Are they taking you to the floor? Are they putting you in arm locks, leg locks? Are they using elbows? Are they using weapons? Is there more than one of them? Or is somebody shouting at you first and then attacking? Or just coming up and attacking you straight away? Because what my friend was explaining is that he could say, teach somebody boxing, but then if that person attacks them and takes them straight to the floor and puts them in a leg lock, all of that time that they were spending learning about boxing, about standing up and using footwork, might be completely irrelevant once they're on the floor. So if we're going to take a really structured look at people using emotional and manipulative behavior, simply calling somebody a narcissist and expecting to figure out what they're doing is going to lead you down an endless path where it's almost the equivalent of going up to my friend and saying, "Can you please help me? Somebody's attacking me." So for me, when I'm in training mode and I'm looking around this particular area, if somebody asks me to support them, if somebody says there's a narcissist and they're attacking me, I say just stop. We need to know firstly, what is the exact attack that they're using? So it could be the oppressed victim relying on guilt. It could be the savior relying on helplessness. It could be the I'm too busy relying on abandonment. It could be the fault finder relying on shame. It could be the imposer relying on that not fitting in, or it could be the destroyer, which relies on terror of loss. And then once you know what that emotional manipulative behaviour is targeting, then you can create a solution. But again, using it as the analogy with my friend who uses martial arts. If you just walk up to somebody and say, "Can you help me protect myself? Somebody's attacking me." But you were not to tell them the specific attacks. That trainer can never really help you navigate around that behaviour, because they won't know what they're trying to help you defend yourself against. Because if you look into the Greek mythology of Narcissus, it's actually about a person who is consumed by themselves. Now, that's not necessarily a manipulative behaviour. That is purely a mindset. So what happens is a person becomes consumed with themselves, and all emotional manipulative behaviour is used by a person who is overwhelmed in some way. They're trying to gain relief of their own trauma projections and anxiety by controlling others through emotional manipulative behaviour, even though sometimes that might not feel like the case. It might feel like they're enjoying it. It might feel like they're having fun, but they're not. They're gaining relief, even though, again, it may appear that the opposite is true. The content or information in these videos is for educational and informational purposes only. It is your responsibility what you do with this information. So in this video, I wanted to give you an introduction as to why just simply calling somebody a narcissist can lead you down an endless path of trying endless techniques in endless ways, hoping that you get a result. You need to identify what specific emotional vulnerability that person is targeting in you. Because if, for example, you don't have an anxiety about abandonment, then somebody using emotional manipulative behaviour will never try the "I'm too busy" with you, because it won't work. A person using emotional manipulative behaviour wants to gain control by triggering their target's vulnerability. Know your vulnerability, and you can stop the game. So my suggestion as a summary of this video is click a link in the description below. We'll watch both videos actually. One about how the mind puts the world together and projects trauma projections onto our life today, distorting current reality, because that is where our anxieties and emotional vulnerabilities will come from, that people using emotional manipulative behaviour can expose. And then also look at the different people in your life who may be using different emotional manipulative behaviours to target those emotional vulnerabilities in your life. The more specific you make this, the more you understand what emotional vulnerabilities other people are trying to target in you, the more you can protect yourself and become immune when they start to use those hidden games, because they won't be hidden anymore. Remember, get specific. It's not enough just to simply call somebody the narcissist.